Hi, and thank you for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy, and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, stick around. And make sure to hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button. Today's video is going to be what sold for the week of April 16th through 22nd. If you're a reseller and you're anything like us, our sales have been really bad. In fact, they're the worst that they've been all season long, all year long. And people say that that might be due to the summer slowdown, but I don't believe that's true at all, because last summer, which may be not an accurate representation of a summer, but last summer and summers previous to that, our sales are usually somewhat steady, maybe slower than other times of the year, but somewhat steady. This summer, they have just absolutely dried up. We are talking about sales for April for this What Sold video, so they aren't dried up quite yet, but they're starting to taper off. The sales that we have going on like right now in real time, we are selling like, we're lucky if we're selling one thing a day. I mean, it's terrifying. I'm not sure what we can do any different. We are still listing items. We're still sourcing the same type of items. We have tried ending our items, doing sell similar, which I have some advice on that I'll include in another video at a later time. We have tried every trick in the book to increase our sales, short of promoting our listings more heavily, which we may consider doing. I'm not sure what our options are, but sales are just awful. I think if they don't pick up once the school year starts back up, we are going to have to really rethink some sales strategies, because we need money. I mean, I'm not sure. This is our source of income. It's getting dire. It is getting dire for us. So let us know if you're in the same situation that we are, but sales are bad. Sales are really, really bad. But let's dive into the what sold for this particular week, which luckily was a good week for us. The good old days back in April. But let's get started. The first thing that we sold for this week was a pair of white, I described them as swim cover-up pants. They were not originally sold that way to me. They were very cheap, like they were from Amazon or something like that. They were just white cotton polyester blend pants, but they were so thin that I didn't think anybody could wear them as anything other than like a swim cover-up. So I described them as swim cover-up pants because I didn't want to misrepresent them in any way. They were really cute. They were wide leg women's pants, but I just didn't really have any use for them. And I did think that they would be cute as swim cover-up pants, so that's how I marketed them. They sold for $11.18. They were practically new, and they sold on offer to buyer. Next up was, it was a very high-end Edison home entertainment karaoke party system, like a mixer. We got it at a garage sale for $10, and it worked, but it didn't work perfectly. Like some of the knobs, you kind of had to hold it a certain way to get the volume to turn up, and we disclosed that. We listed it as is on an auction starting at $99.99. It received one bid only, but it sold for that price. And we were very pleased with that because we still made a good profit on it. So that sold for $99.99, and the buyer seemed happy with it. Next up was a 1996 McDonald's Happy Meal toy. So it was a vintage Happy Meal toy. It was an X-Men Wolverine vehicle. He was in an airplane, and it had an interactive part where the missiles would come in and out of the plane. The photo that we have of it shows the missiles disengaged, not engaged. So this sold for $8.99. It was a best offer. We originally had it listed for $9.99. And we had gotten this in the Goodwill bins for 68 cents. We could just tell that it was a vintage toy and picked it up. and then researched it and realized it was a McDonald's toy. You can tell because even if it's a vintage McDonald's toy, it'll say like MCD on the bottom or something like that. But, you know, vintage McDonald's, there's collectors of McDonald's Happy Meal toys out there. So even the vintage ones will sell, even the new ones will sell. We list the ones out of our Happy Meals when we get them now, and they continually sell for us. There's not huge profit in them, but they sell. So if we can make money on it, we list it. Next up is a brand new in package 3D Crafters Square brand butterfly stickers. They had like the wings that came up off the page. These we got in the Goodwill bins, and they sold for $9.99, which was the full asking price, and we had paid 67 cents. We always average out our cost when we shop at the bins. That day we paid 67 cents per item. I always average it out by listing lot though. So not really by item, it's by listing. Next up was another McDonald's Happy Meal toy. This was a 2021, so this actually I was gonna say this was probably something that we got, but now that I look at the list, it wasn't. This was something that we got in a big bag of toys from the thrift store. This was a loose toy. It was the Cheshire Cat from the 50th anniversary toys that Disney did, the collab that Disney did with McDonald's. And we picked up this bag of toys probably for something, definitely for something else that was in this bag, not for the Cheshire Cat, but you know, we always list everything that's in the bag when we pick it up, and other stuff always sells usually before the item that we even pick up the bag for, and this is probably no exception. This sold for $7.99, and we had paid 19 cents per item in that bag. I don't even remember what bag this came out of. Next item was a brand new Furminator cat pet brush. We got this at a garage sale, and we paid 50 cents for it, and it sold very quickly, surprisingly, for $9.99. Next up was a lot of 11 vintage Goosebumps and Fear Street books by R.L. Stine. We got these at a garage sale. We paid $2 for all of them, and they sold for $19.99. We got these at multiple different garage sales and then lotted them all together. I did this as an auction, but it only got one bid, and it sold for the opening bid price of $19.99. But we only had to list it one time, so that was good. We were pleased with that. Next up was a vintage Motorola flip phone. It came with the charger and an extra battery, and we tested it and it worked. I mean, we tested it for power and for all of the different functionality. Obviously, we didn't have any service with it, so we didn't know for sure that it worked, but all the functions and features of it worked. We got this at an estate sale. We got this at the Sugar Train estate sale, which I'll link above and down below, but this was out in the box of stuff in the garage that we got. We paid $15 for the whole box, and then we averaged out our cost of each item in that box to be 75 cents. And then this sold for $32.99. And it sold pretty quickly. I mean, how often do you run across a vintage flip phone that actually works? So with an extra battery and like all the parts and pieces. So I think that was a pretty good find. Next up was a lot of 3. They were very small. They were like this big. Cute little hand-painted Easter chicks. And they were ceramic. We picked these up at a garage sale, and we paid $1 for all 3 of them all together as a set. They sold for $16.99. Next up was a complete set of 1995 Tombstone Pizza set of 30 baseball cards. These belong to my husband. They were in his personal collection. These sold for $10.38, and they sold on offer to buyer. We got positive feedback on those. We had multiples of these, so this was just one of the sets that we had. Next up was an AC/DC, the band, boys youth extra large t-shirt. It was made to look vintage, but it wasn't vintage. It was a modern t-shirt. We got this at a garage sale for $1 and it sold for $10.49. In the month of April, we ran a 30% off promotion on clothing because we are really trying to clear out clothing and not sell as much clothing. Like, we're really trying to only sell vintage clothing and not do so much modern clothing and things like that. So we were really trying to clear out a lot of clothing, and this sold on that 30% off promotion. Next up was a pair of women's SAS or SAS comfort walking shoes. These we got at a flea market. They were brand new. We paid $3 for the pair and they sold for $75 on best offer. Next up was an item that belonged to my husband, although it was brand new without tags. He bought it and took off the tags and then never wore it. We had gotten it on clearance at JCPenney, and then he never wore it. It was like a retro style varsity jacket. It was blue, kind of like a nylon print, and then it had black and white check lining. It sold on best offer for $23.98, and we got positive feedback on that. Next up was a Ralph Lauren women's 100% linen roll tab sleeve button-up shirt. It sold for $1.25, and no, we paid $1.25 for it, and it sold for $25 on best offer. We got this at the same sale that we got the Furminator cat brush at. She also had like a lot of brand new with tags clothing, and we got positive feedback on that. We actually got another Ralph Lauren red linen shirt that I think is sold. I think it'll be in a later What Sold video. Next up was a handbag organizer, like one of those organizers that you slip down into your bag and then it has the different pockets. It fits into a bag and then has sections that will organize your purse. And this particular one was like lighted. I think when you opened it up, when you opened the organizer up, it lit up, or you could press some part of it and it would light up, and it was called Lit Bag. So it was called Lit Bag LED lighted handbag organizer. And these were selling really high. I think I listed it at like $49.99, but we ended up taking a best offer of $39.68. We got this at an estate sale. It was brand new with tags, and we only paid $2 for it. And it sold very, very fast. And we were very pleased with that. So I will definitely be on the lookout for any more lit bag items. That seemed to be a popular item. We had a lot of interest in it, a lot of watchers, and then it sold very quickly. Next up was another 9-piece set of Taekwondo or karate or martial arts youth gear. It came with the bag, all of the different padding items, the mouth guard case. We had gotten 2 sets of these at a local thrift store. In an earlier What Sold video, we sold a red set, and then we also sold this teal set. And this one we paid $6.48 for, and it sold for $65. And then we had sold another one earlier. I think we had sold that one for $75. So I can't remember exactly what it sold for, but these were great money makers. I would definitely be on the lookout for any martial arts gear. It sells quickly and for great prices. And we did get positive feedback on this as well. We had gotten positive feedback on the other one as well too. So that is definitely a bolo for us now. Next up was a lot of 3 Louisa May Alcott paperback books. These we got at a garage sale. We paid $1 for them, and they sold very quickly for $15. Next up was one of the free magazines from the big lot of free magazines that I got from the lady on Nextdoor. This one was the May 2003 edition of Victoria magazine. This sold for $7.99 and our cost was $0. Next up was a vintage 1979 Haynes Ford V8 Mustang automotive repair manual. And we got this on the Curb Alert that you may have seen on our Out of This World Curb Alert video, which I'll link above and in the description below. This sold for $13.48 on best offer, and we paid $0. So I still look for Curb Alerts, although I have not been as diligent about it. I need to be on the lookout for those more often. I was really diligent about it, and then we have been extremely busy lately, so I have not been looking as often. But as my husband said the other day, that Curb Alert is going to be paying for itself pretty quickly. So yeah, that Curb Alert has obviously already paid for itself. It was definitely worth the time to drive over there because we've sold multiple things from that Curb Alert, and everything obviously from it was 100% free. So always worth your time to go pick up stuff from a Curb Alert or someone who is advertising something for free, because you will always sell at least one thing, and totally worth your time. Next up is a pair of Steve Madden nude wedge heels. These sold for $23.62. We had gotten these in the Goodwill bins for $1.50. The buyer had these for a while, at least a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then we heard back from her saying that they were misrepresented. We got an item not as described. Case opened against us saying that they were listed as the wrong size. And we had listed them as a size 9. And she sent us a picture of the bottom of the shoes, which had the European size on them, and claimed that, or had a size that appeared to be like the European size on the bottom, and said that they were wrong. And I thought, well, you know, I am certain that I would have confirmed that they had the US size. I would have listed it correctly. I always, you know, am very cautious about things like that. And so I was kind of dubious about it, but I said, you know, obviously an INAD, it gets automatically approved by eBay, and she was able to send the item back. Well, when we got the item back, of course, I looked on the inside of the shoe, and it was listed as a US 9. So I contacted eBay, showed the documentation of it, and we were able to get our shipping refunded and have that strike against us removed, that defect against us removed. So I did submit a complaint against that buyer, and luckily eBay stood behind us in that case. So that was good. Frustrating to have to go through that, but that was good. I'm not sure if that buyer was confused, maybe borrowed the shoes for Easter because it was right around the time of Easter, or what exactly happened with that, but it ended up working out for us. In the long run, the shoes were returned in the same condition that we sent them out in, and so we have relisted them. Next up was a pair of Wrangler's youth size jeans. They were in pristine condition. We found them in the Goodwill bins, and we sold those for $30.09 through the promotion, the clothing promotion that we had going on, and we paid $1.68 for those. We did have those listed for a really long time. I held out on those because these were not, you know, just like your regular Walmart style Wranglers. These were higher end Wrangler jeans, and they sold for, like, you know, I think originally around $59.99 or $69.99. And I knew that they would eventually sell because they were in such pristine condition, and they did eventually sell for a great price, and we made a great profit on those. So I'm glad I held out. Next up was a pair of Lane Bryant women's dark wash denim jeans. These sold for, let's see, $23.98 on offer to buyer. We got these at a garage sale for only 50 cents, so that was a great sale. Next up was a pair of American Eagle destroyed Tom Girl jean shorts. These I had gotten from a lady that I buy from every once in a while that I connected with on Nextdoor. We didn't make a great profit on these because since she's somebody that I, want to buy from every once in a while, I make sure that I give her a good price on her items. And then the buyer had also used the 30% off coupon to buy these items. So I had paid $2.94 for these. I had averaged out my cost, and the buyer only paid $12.58 because we had these marked at 30% off, and then I think I also did an offer to buyer trying to get these out the door. But we still made a profit on them, and we did get positive feedback on these as well. So, still worked out. Next up was a pair of the saltwater sandals that we got on the shoe liquidation lot that I purchased. These sold for $44.99, and we had paid $9.09 per shoe. This was a pair of the purple Sweethearts. The Sweetheart saltwater sandals are by far the most popular style that we purchased. So if I saw those out in the wild, I would pick those up again for sure. I'm not sure about the other styles. Those have not sold as well for us. Next up was an Xbox game. It was just the disc only. It was NFL Blitz. We had purchased this with a lot of games that we had gotten at a garage sale. We paid $1 for it, and it sold for $9.99. And we did get positive feedback on it, which is always good when you sell something that's just a disc only or something like that. I always worry that the buyer, even though it's the photograph of the disc only, I always worry that the buyer is not accurately reading the listing and they're going to complain, or, somehow that's going to come back to haunt you. But the buyer was happy with it. Next up was a Rafaela women's open front short sleeve cardigan. It was new with the tags. I believe we got this at the garage sale from the Ralph Lauren linen shirt and the cat brush. This sold for $18.68 on best offer or offer to buyer, and we paid $1.25 for it. Like I said, there was a lot of brand new with tag clothes. A lot of stuff that I think came from like Macy's or somewhere, so I don't know if she worked at Macy's, but a lot of really good clothes. Next up was a Daisy Fuentes strapless bra, brand new with tags, that we had gotten at a garage sale. This sold for $12.59. We had this in our store for a really long time, so it sold on the 30% off sale, and we were glad to see it go out the door. We only paid $1 for it, and it sold using the 30% off sale for our asking price. We still made a profit, and we were glad about that. Next up was a vintage Wrangler purple women's snap up Western shirt. It had rhinestones for the snaps. That sold for $24.49 on our 30% off promotion. And this came from an estate sale. We paid only $2 for it, so that was a good profit. Next up was another of those 1995 Tombstone Pizza complete baseball card sets from my husband's collection, and this was the last one of the quantity that we had, so we no longer have any more of these. This one sold for our full asking price of $12.99. Next up was a St. John women's black, beige, and white floral sheath dress. It was belted. It came with the belt. I had sold some stuff on the RealReal, and they gave me a $25 coupon. I used that coupon to shop and see what I can find to resell, and I ended up purchasing this St. John dress. My out-of-pocket cost with like the shipping and the little bit of money that I spent on it was $18.25, and we sold the dress for $59.98 on offer to buyer. So we still made a profit. And so anytime I get a coupon from, you know, any kind of platform that I'm reselling on, I'll usually use it to purchase something to then resell. So that's an example of what I did there. Next up was a Trivial Pursuit Volume 6 board game. The actual game was not new and sealed, but all of the card decks inside of it were new and sealed. So it was obvious that it had never been played, but the actual outer box was not new. We had gotten this in the Goodwill outlet, and it sold for $26.38 on offer to buyer. We only paid 92 cents, and we did get positive feedback. We didn't make a huge profit on it because, you know, it probably cost us $10 or $12 to ship it, but, you know, we still made profit on it. I would not have picked that up anywhere except for the bins. Next up was a pair of Gloria Vanderbilt plus size Amanda fit black jeans. They were brand new with tags. We got these at a garage sale. We paid $2 for them, and they sold for $18.99 on our full asking price. And we got positive feedback on those. Next up was a open package of polyurethane or urethane crafting foam. This was something that either belonged to me or my husband from before we were married, from a crafting project, and I don't even remember what it was from. Neither one of us do. So we had it forever. And we no longer needed it, wanted it, had any use for it, and we were like, I don't know if this will sell, but we listed it, and eventually it sold for $22.99. We don't remember how much we paid for it, so we said our cost was $0. The buyer was so happy with us with it that they asked us if we had more, which obviously we didn't, and we made decent money on it. So that is not something that we would ever pick up in the wild or seek out, but it was just something that we had laying around that we no longer had a need for, and rather than you know, donating or giving away, we tried to make a little bit of money on it. Next up was a vintage 2¼ and 3/4 inch. I guess it was probably a swan shaped brooch. It was gold tone, and then it had multicolor rhinestones on it. We got this at a garage sale. We paid 50 cents for it, and it sold for $16 even on best offer. Next up was a pair of sterling silver Huggy style earrings. These belong to me. I had had these since high school. I think I got these either in Mexico or at a little boutique style jewelry store in my town. But I no longer wore these, and I sold them for $12 on best offer. Next up was 4 boxes of 50 count Playtex disposable baby bottle liners. So there were 200 liners total. These I got at a garage sale. I paid $2.50 total for all of them, and they sold for $24.99, which was our full asking price. These sold pretty quickly. Next up was 2 packages of Designwear brand SpongeBob SquarePants party invitations and thank you notes. I think that they were like together in the package. They had 16 of each in the package. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we got these in the Goodwill outlet, and they sold for $15 on best offer. I had listed in our spreadsheet that our cost was $0 because I think I originally had these listed with something else, and then I separated them out. And so I had already rolled the cost into something else. But anyway, I had gotten them at the Goodwill bin, so our cost was probably, you know, very low. And we had at the time picked up some other SpongeBob party goods that we still have listed. Next up was a vintage hardcover book on advanced hypnosis techniques. This we paid $3 for, and it sold, we got it at an estate sale, and it sold for $60 even on best offer. And we have picked up several hypnosis themed items, some weight loss CDs and other hypnosis books and things like that. And every time we have picked up something that has had a hypnosis related theme or anything hypnosis related, it has sold immediately. It has sold within the first month that we've had it listed. So anytime we see something hypnosis related, we will pick it up. And I recommend that you do the same. And last is a Mud Pie brand toddler outfit. It was brand new with tags. It was a cute little purple check outfit. We got this at a garage sale. It was $3 and it sold for $25.89 on the 30% off promotion. It kind of took a little while to sell. It had a lot of watchers. It was a boutique outfit, and so I kind of had it listed on the higher end because I knew it would eventually sell, but it did take a bit to sell, but it eventually did. And then last but not least, I will go over the collectible cards that we sold. We are finally starting to list some of our higher value cards that we have, mainly because we need to make some money, and we are pulling some of those out to supplement some of the lost income that we have had from the lack of sales. So this particular week we sold one high value card, which I'll show on the screen. But in total, we sold 14 cards for a total of $176.47. But we are continuing to list some of the lower value cards. We always continue to list those as a supplement to the other items that we list on eBay. But we are, pulling out those higher value ones because we got to pay the bills. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. And more importantly, the one thing that I would ask you to do that would really help us out is to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.